Welcome to this short presentation about GCSE Fine Art at the Quennevais School. First question, why should we choose art? Well, the key thing for me is that there is no other subject out there that gives you the amount of freedom that you'll have to make your own choices, your own decisions about the work that you create. That's the most wonderful thing about the Quennevais School art. And to go with that freedom, there is a huge sense of challenge. We really do challenge you to meet your absolute potential in art by pushing you to produce work of really outstanding quality, just like the piece you can see here on the right hand side. And what's really crucial is that you understand that GCSE art is so different in many ways to what you've done at Key Stage 3. At GCSE level, you are going to be working with students who really want to do art and have chosen it and they're passionate about it. And that makes such a difference. You're not going to be just doing small little bits of work on paper, but giant boards, things that are going to really challenge you and excite you every single week. And you'll not realize just how much of a difference those 3 hours a week are going to make. And obviously, that includes after school time as well. Rather than having that 1 50-minute lesson a week, having that 3 times a week and a double lesson as well, it makes such a huge difference to the amount of work you can get done in that time, and also how much you are going to develop as an artist. You will often see the amazing work around the school and think, well, I'll never be able to do anything as good as that. Well, you will, because that's how much we push you and develop you and teach you to be absolutely brilliant at painting and drawing. So, as I say, the work is unsurpassed at the Quennevais School. There is not another school on the island that produces work of the quality that we do, particularly at GCSE level, but even at A level as well. You know, the standard of work we produce here is phenomenal. And every year, when the examiner comes to mark the work, he comments on it's amongst the best he's ever seen at any level across the whole of the UK and international schools, which says a lot about the Quennevais School. So the GCSE itself is 2 projects and an exam, and we divide that into landscape and identity. Each project spans most of a year, in fact, so we really do work on something for a long time. That's why those amazing paintings exist, because we work on them and work on them and work on them. And then to go inside that, we have a really lengthy exploration in your sketchbooks as well. You're going to be inspired by a huge range of artists, some of them that you'll choose, some of them that will direct you towards to really develop your style as an artist. And then you'll create that significant final piece of work, or several final pieces of work that really inspires us as teachers and you as students. And the exam, don't ever worry about that. It sounds really scary that you're going to have a 10-hour exam, but it's not scary at all. It's done over 2 days. You're in the art rooms producing a piece of art in that time, and you get the exam paper 10 weeks or so before the exam itself. So you have loads of time to prepare for it and research and do all those things, and then you'll just go in with real confidence into that exam. So don't worry about it. So when it comes to assessing your work, there are 4 key areas that we look at to analyze how well you're doing. The first area is how we look at a range of different artists and how they influence your work. So just like in year 9 at the moment, if you're looking at Natalie Foss, how we learn and develop our ideas from other artists. So this can include doing studies of their work, analyzing their work by writing a description of what you can see, but also like using their work to inform your own ideas. So whether that's the style of the work or the subject matter itself. The second area that we look at is how we explore and experiment with different media. So not just paint and pencil, but using printing techniques, using mixed media, collage, decoupage, all things like that, but also photography and use of Photoshop. That's really crucial part of how we develop as artists. And then AO3 is about the accuracy and the quality of drawing and the quality of painting. So how accurate and detailed your work is. So just like that incredible self-portrait on the right-hand side, you can see that's an extraordinary standard. That's the sort of thing we're talking about. And also that involves your photography. So photography is an integral part of the Fine Art GCSE, and we will expect you to take photographs for your work. And then finally, it's the AO4. This is quite a difficult one to explain, but it is about those final pieces. So those big boards and things that we do, but it's also about how it all joins together. So how does that initial idea, that spark of imagination that you had, how does that sort of manifest itself through your sketchbook and out into that final piece? How does it answer the question of what does identity mean to you, for example? So here we can see two examples of landscape work. So this is the first project you're going to do. These are two huge boards that were created last year by Year 10 students. And you can see the incredible quality. I mean, it looks like a professional gallery standard of work rather than something you'd see in a school. But that's how we work at Quennevais School. You know, we really do push you. And if you think about it, this is exactly what you might have learnt when we were starting in Year 7 with the Monet and the Van Gogh work. All of those little brush marks telling a story of this amazing paintings that you can see here. So this is the sort of work that we'll be doing in Year 10. And to go alongside that, your sketchbooks are a really crucial part of that. So this is where all of that research, so here you can see some beautiful artist studies that have been created, little bits of writing exploring what these are about, and where you might experiment and try out ideas in your sketchbook before you start to work on those larger pieces of work. So we saw two very traditional responses to landscape earlier, but here's an example of just how different and unique your work can become. And we do really treat you as individual artists. We don't expect every single student to be doing the same thing. So this is a student here. You can see she's actually pushing the ink around on a piece of Perspex with her fingers and really doing some mad experimental work. And then this is going to dry and she adds things on top. And this was all inspired by a series of photographs she took at the time based on rock pools down at Corbière. And you can see that there is the final piece on the bottom left hand side, an amazing giant light sculpture that she made. And as you can see, the close-up images of what that looked like, a huge piece of work. And it just shows you, that wherever your imagination takes you, within conversation with your teacher, you really can produce work of extraordinary quality. And the second project that we do is based on identity and portraiture. And this is something our students every single year love to do. There's something so incredibly satisfying about painting a face and making something look and feel accurate. So here you can see some wonderful examples of work that's been done in the past. Really refined, very sophisticated use of paint to create these incredible images. As you can see, working in lots of different manners and ideas. So what are lessons like? Well, as I say, you saw those different examples of how work is taken, and each student will follow their own path, and that's a negotiation with your teacher. So you talk about, where you think you might want to go with your work, which of the things that you've been introduced to are you most passionate about, and that's where we start from, and then that develops individually into this wonderful body of work. And be prepared. For some of you, you may well spend over 100 hours just on one piece of work. So those incredible portraits that you just saw and those landscape works, they don't just take a couple of weeks to do. They can take, months to create because they're so detailed and so complex. And each lesson, if you feel that point where you're struggling and you can't get any better, that's where your teacher comes in and they will pop in and speak to you about, right, how can I push you forward? What is it that you need to help with to push yourself to a little bit further towards that excellence that we know you are capable of? And as I say, you're going to be using a really wide range of materials, and you'll find those techniques and those styles that really inspire you to create something that you feel passionate about and to start to develop your own style as a real artist. And a lot of that work goes into your sketchbooks. Okay, so looking at different artists, using different materials, putting your ideas together. That sketchbook is such an important, integral part of the whole GCSE. And to be honest, almost 75% of your marks is what's in your sketchbook. So you've got to treat those like your best friend and really make them very, very special indeed. So GCSE Fine Art. Our results are exceptional at this school. We have a huge group of students that attain a grade 9 almost every single year. The majority of our students get a grade 7 or above, which is the equivalent of an old A grade, which is remarkable in itself. You are expected, the one thing you have to be aware of, art is not something you can just do in your lessons. It takes time after school and it takes time at home to work on your sketchbook, but it's for our students, it's something they just want to do anyway. It's something they feel passionate about. It isn't the same as those other subjects where you may be writing lots of essays and doing all lots of test papers and things. It's a different way of working, and that's something that a lot of our students really benefit from. A huge number of our students go on to do A level and do exceptionally well at Holier and at the colleges and at the BTEC Art and Design course at Highlands. So, this is a really good starting point for that. And as I say, if you are passionate about art, it's going to grow more than you can possibly imagine. You don't know, and you will not realize just how brilliant your work is going to become over the next 2 years if you choose Le Quennevais School for art.